Natalia did not cry when people laughed. She only kept staring at the open trunk. The hot Lagos sun beat down on the dusty compound. The old sedan her father left for her was standing there like a tired cow. Rusty paint, one headlamp broken, back bumper tied with rope. It looked like a car no one should even push, talk less of inherit. But Natalia was not looking at the car. She was looking inside the trunk. Her mouth was open, her hand was shaking, her eyes were wide like she had just seen an angel. Or a ghost, because inside that old, abandoned car were shining gold bars, wrapped and stacked, were thick, old velvet pouches, were rare-looking necklaces and heavy bracelets, were things you only see in movies. "Natalia don't inherit nonsense," one of the women at the back shouted, laughing. Three young women, neighbors, stood a few meters away on the dusty road in front of the bungalow. They were all dark-skinned, dressed in wrapper and t-shirts, hands on their waists, pointing and laughing. "See her face," the second one said. "So na car her papa leave, not even land. Even the car sef no fit reach Shagamu," the third one added. They laughed louder, but Natalia did not move. She could not even breathe. Because now, she understood. Her father was not crazy. Her father did not lie. Her father, Benjamin, the quiet old driver everybody thought was poor, had actually kept a secret. And he kept it inside a car everybody rejected. Her heart was beating fast. Her legs suddenly felt weak. She held the edge of the trunk so she would not fall. This was not ordinary. This was not small money. This was enough to change a life. And for the first time since he died, Natalia began to cry, not because of pain, not because of shame, but because of what this meant. Her father was telling the truth. But why did he hide this? And who else knew? Before she could think more, she heard slippers rushing on sand. "Natalia!" It was Mama Aoife, the neighbor who helped her during the burial. She ran in from the side of the compound, eyes wide. "What is inside?" she asked. "What are they laughing at?" Natalia quickly pulled the trunk lid down. The three mocking women stopped laughing. Mama Aoife looked from Natalia to the women, to the car. "Natalia," she said slowly, "what is inside that motor?" Natalia swallowed. Her father's last words burned in her ears again, like they were yesterday. "Don't open it when people are around. Don't trust anybody. That car will change your life. People wanted me dead because of it." Her father had whispered it on the hospital bed. Then he died. Now, people were around, and they were already laughing. Natalia wiped her eyes and forced a small smile. "Nothing, Ma," she said. "Just old things." But her voice was shaking, her eyes were too bright. And the women at the road saw it. They exchanged looks. This was not nothing. Something was inside that car, something big. And that was where the danger started. Pause. 3 days earlier. The smell of hospital still sat in Natalia's nose when she got home that evening. Her father, Benjamin, had died that afternoon. He did not leave land. He did not leave house. He did not leave money. He left a bill. 245,000 naira. And he left an old car. Natalia sat on her thin mattress in the room, hugging her knees. The small fan in the ceiling was turning slowly. Her eyes were red, not just from crying, from worry. "What am I going to do now?" she whispered. Her father was an old driver. He used to drive rich men's cars to the airport, to Port Harcourt, to Ghana sometimes. He was quiet, respectful, and everyone said he was poor. He wore the same brown slippers for 2 years. He always said, "I am saving for something." Natalia thought the something was her wedding. She was wrong. Before he died, the nurse told her he was calling her. She had rushed in. His voice was small. His chest was moving up and down slowly. "Natty," he said. That was what he used to call her. "I could not leave you with money. I could not clear the bill. I am sorry." Tears had filled her eyes. "Papa, don't talk like that," she said. "You will not die." He shook his head a little. "I have one thing," he whispered. "The car." Natalia frowned. "Which car?" "My old sedan, the one in the compound. I kept it for you." "Papa, that car is finished." His eyes shone. "That car," he said, "will make you do anything you want in this life. It is the reason some people wanted me dead. But I hid it, I secured it. Don't let anybody touch it. Don't let anybody open it for you. Don't trust anyone. When you are calm, open it. And don't be afraid. Papa, what is inside?" he breathed out. "You will see." Then his hand fell, and he was gone. That was all. No long story, no address, no key to wealth, just, "The car will change your life." It made no sense. So after the burial, Natalia ignored the car. She had bigger problems. The hospital was calling. The landlord said, "Your father was the one I know. Are you staying or not?" The food at home was almost finished. Some family members were already saying, "Sell the car and pay the bill." Sell? Sell what? A car that could not even climb hill. The car was sitting at the edge of their dusty compound beside the small guava tree. It looked abandoned, just like her life. On the first day after burial, she did not even look at it. On the second day, she walked past it, touched it, and hissed. On the third day, something in her chest said, "Go and open it." She looked around. The compound was not empty. 3 women were on the road, buying a cara and talking about how poor death can make a person. Natalia almost waited. But then she remembered her father's eyes. So she took the key from the nail in their parlor. She walked out. She went to the car, and that was when the women noticed. "Hen, she don't go open her inheritance," one of them shouted, laughing. "Na the motorway Papa leave?" another one said. "Na that same abandoned motorway we dey see for here since 10 years, the third one added. They started laughing loud like it was a show. Natalia's face burned. She could feel their eyes on her back. She wanted to enter ground. But she put the key in. The car door opened with a creak. She opened the back door. Nothing. She opened the glove compartment. Nothing. Her heart started to drop. "Papayre, what are you doing to me?" she whispered. Then she remembered, trunk. He said he secured it, so she went to the back. She pushed the rusty trunk button. It refused. She tried again. This time it clicked. The lid went up, and her whole life stopped. Gold. Real gold. Not plastic, not toy, not market beads. Real gold that bounced light into her face. Bars, pouches, jewelry wrapped in cloth. She gasped. This was more than 1 million. More than 5. More than 10. This was serious money. Her father had been hiding this. All the days he said, "We don't need to borrow. God will do it." All the years he looked poor. All the times neighbors mocked her that she was the daughter of a driver. He had this, and did not touch it. Why? Was he protecting her? Or was someone really trying to take it from him? Her head was spinning. That was when Mama Eve came, and that was when the women stopped laughing. And that was when Natalia, with shaking hands, slammed the trunk down. Too late, because the look on her face told everybody one thing. Whatever was inside that car was not ordinary. And now, somebody would want it, even if it meant hurting her. That night, Natalia could not sleep. She turned on her mattress again and again, eyes open, heart heavy. Outside, the wind was moving the dry mango leaves. A dog barked somewhere down the street. Her eyes went to the small wooden window and stayed there. Every time she closed her eyes, she saw the gold again, the bright reflection, the smooth bars, the weight of her father's voice in her head. "Don't trust anyone. People wanted me dead because of it." She sat up, sweating. Her late father's face kept flashing before her, weak, thin, whispering those last words. Why would anyone want him dead? He was just a driver. Who would kill a poor man? Unless he wasn't as poor as people thought. She stood, tiptoed to the door and peered out. The car was still there in the faint moonlight. Its rusty body looked harmless, but she now knew it was more than that. It was a secret. She looked around. The road was empty, but something didn't feel right. Then she heard it, a soft rustling near the fence. Her chest tightened. She held her breath, listening. A shadow moved. Someone was there. "Who's that?" she whispered. No answer. The sound stopped. Her heart was beating so loud she could almost hear it in her ears. She quickly shut the window and locked the door. Then she turned off the small lantern and sat in the darkness, knees pulled close. Minutes passed. The sound faded away. But one thought would not leave her head. Someone else knew. By morning, she had made up her mind. She needed to move the gold. The car was too open, too exposed. Anyone could come in the night. The only person she could think of was Uncle Philip, her father's younger brother. He worked at a mechanic workshop in town and had always been kind to her, or so she thought. When her father died, he had hugged her tightly and said, "If you ever need help, come to me. Your family." So that morning, she wore her old brown slippers, tied her headscarf, and went to his workshop. The workshop sat at the edge of town, noisy, oily, and busy. Mechanics shouted over the sound of engines. The smell of petrol and rubber filled the air. Cars of all kinds were parked outside, some new, most old. Uncle Philip was under a car when she arrived. "Uncle," she called softly. He rolled out, wiping his hands with a dirty rag. His face lit up. "Natalia, my daughter. How you day?" "I'm fine, sir," she said, trying to sound normal. He offered her a stool. "You look tired. Burial stress, eh?" She nodded. Her hands were shaking. He poured her a sachet of cold water and sat beside her. "What brings you?" She looked down. "Uncle, before Papa died, he said something strange." Philip raised a brow. "Strange? Like what?" "He said the old car he left for me will change my life." Philip stopped wiping his hands. He looked at her closely. "He said that?" "Yes," she whispered. "And he said people wanted him dead because of it." For a few seconds, neither of them spoke. Then Philip leaned back on his stool, his eyes dark. "Natalia," he said slowly, "did he tell you what's inside?" She froze. The way he said it, too direct, made her heart skip. "No. No, he didn't," she lied quickly. But Uncle Philip was still watching her. He smiled a little, but it wasn't a warm smile. "Well," he said, "maybe it's just his way of saying that car is special. You know your father, always talking in riddles." He stood up suddenly. "Come, I'll follow you to the house later. We'll check the car together." Natalia's stomach tightened. Her father's voice echoed in her head again. "Don't trust anyone." "Uncle, no need," she said quickly. "It's just old. I'll manage it myself." He laughed. "You? Manage that car? It's not even moving again." "I'll try," she said, forcing a smile. He stared at her for a few more seconds, then sighed. "Okay, but if you need help, call me. Don't do anything alone." "I won't," she said softly. But as she walked away, her mind was racing. How did Uncle Philip know there was something inside? That afternoon, she sat under the mango tree behind the house, thinking. If she tried to carry the gold, people would see. If she left it there, someone could steal it. She needed a plan. She waited until nightfall again. When everyone was asleep, she took her small torchlight, wrapped a scarf around her head, and went outside quietly. The night was silent except for crickets. Her heart was thumping as she moved toward the car. The padlock on the garage was still good. She had oiled it earlier. She pushed it open quietly. Inside, the air was hot and dusty. Spiderwebs hung on the ceiling. She opened the trunk again. The golden shine almost blinded her. She covered her mouth, trying not to gasp again. It was still there, all of it. She touched one bar. It was heavy, cold, real. For a long moment, she just stared, tears filling her eyes. Her father had really protected her. All this time, pretending to be poor, living quietly, while hiding something this big. Maybe that was why some nights he didn't sleep, always sitting outside watching the road. Maybe he knew someone was after it. She packed the gold carefully into an old rice sack. But before she could close the trunk, her torchlight flickered. Then she heard it again. Footsteps. Outside the garage. She froze. Someone was walking slowly, crunching sand under their shoes. Her breath caught. She quickly pushed the sack back into the trunk, closed it, and ducked down behind the car. The footsteps stopped. Then, a voice. Low, male. "I told you she would open it tonight." Her blood ran cold. Another voice replied, "Should we go in?" "Not yet. She's smart. Wait till she leaves it open." Natalia's hands started trembling. There were two men outside. She couldn't see their faces, but she could feel the danger in their voices. Her heart hammered in her chest. Slowly she turned off the torchlight and held her breath. Minutes crawled by. Then one man said, "Let's go. We'll come back tomorrow." Their footsteps faded. Silence again. Natalia stayed still, crouched behind the car, shaking. She waited 10 minutes before moving. When she finally stood up, her whole body felt weak. Who were they? How did they know? Were they the ones her father warned her about? She closed the garage quietly, locked it, and ran back inside. Her eyes were wet again, not from sadness, but fear. She lay on the bed, staring at the ceiling till morning. And as the first light of dawn touched her window, she made a decision. She couldn't stay in this village anymore. The car had to move. The gold had to move. She would leave tonight. But someone was already watching her house from across the road, and by the time night came, she would find out that her father's warning was only the beginning. The night came faster than Natalia expected. The small clock on her wall said 9:12 p.m. The compound was quiet. Too quiet. The laughter of the three women who always mocked her was gone. Even Mama Aoife had gone to bed early. The air felt heavy, like something bad was about to happen. Natalia folded her few clothes into an old Ghana must-go bag. She packed her father's photo, his brown slippers, and a little food. Her eyes stopped on the car key on the table. Her hand trembled. "If I can make it out of here," she whispered, "I will find a way." She blew out the candlelight, tied her scarf, and opened the door slowly. The sound of night frogs and crickets filled the air. The moonlight lay soft on the compound ground. She could see the old car, still parked near the mango tree, its rust glinting faintly. She hurried toward it, her heart thudding like a drum. She unlocked the driver's door and slipped in. The smell of dust and leather filled her nose. The seat was cold. For a moment she froze, remembering her father teaching her to drive in this same car years ago. "A driver must be calm even when afraid," he had said, laughing as she held the steering too tight. She touched the steering and smiled weakly. "Thank you, Papa," she whispered. She turned the key. The engine coughed once, twice, then came alive with a groan. Natalia almost cried with relief. But before she could reverse, she saw movement in the rearview mirror. Two shadows by the fence. Her body stiffened. The same men. They were back. One pointed at the car, the other raised something, a stick or maybe a gun. She couldn't tell. "She's moving the car," one shouted. Natalia's heart jumped. She slammed her foot on the pedal. The car jerked backward, coughing smoke. The men ran toward her, shouting, "Stop that car!" She didn't look back. She shifted to drive and pressed the pedal harder. The old sedan roared, struggling, but it moved. She turned sharply toward the gate. The gate was closed. She cursed under her breath, jumped out and yanked the rusty bolt. It screamed loud, metal grinding against metal. The men were getting closer. She jumped back into the car, started it again. The tires spun on sand, then shot forward through the half-open gate. Bang! One man hit the back of the car with something heavy. The trunk rattled, but she didn't stop. Dust rose behind her as she sped down the narrow road, heart pounding, eyes wide. The men chased a few steps, shouting, but soon their voices faded. Natalia kept driving until she reached the main road. Her hands were shaking on the steering. The headlights flickered. She didn't even know where she was going. Just away. She drove until she saw a small filling station ahead. It was closed, but the light from the street lamp was enough to rest. She parked behind an abandoned kiosk and turned off the engine. Her breathing was rough, her face wet with sweat. She leaned back, whispering, "Thank you, Papa. You saved me again." She sat there for a while, listening to the night sounds, trying to think. Where could she go? She had no family in the city, no money, just a car filled with gold and danger. Then she remembered one person, Tayo. Tayo was her childhood friend who had moved to town years ago. He used to visit during holidays, and he always said, "If you ever come to town, find me. I'll help you." She picked her father's small old phone from her bag. It still had some battery. She dialed Tayo's number, praying it would go through. "Hello," a sleepy male voice answered. "Tayo, it's me, Natalia." There was silence, then excitement. "Natalia, it's been years. How are you?" Her voice cracked. "Please, I need help. I can't explain everything now, but can I come stay with you tonight? Please?" Something in her voice made him serious. "Where are you?" She looked around. Old Eep Road, near the closed filling station. "Stay there. I'm coming," he said quickly. She ended the call, heart still racing. For the first time in days, she felt hope. Small but real. 30 minutes later, headlights appeared from the distance. A silver Toyota Corolla stopped near her car. Tayo stepped out, tall, dark-skinned, wearing a white shirt and jeans. His face was shocked when he saw the old sedan. "Natalia, what are you doing with this car?" he asked. "It's my father's," she said quietly. He looked confused but didn't ask more. "Let's go to my place. It's late." "I can't leave the car," she said. "Not yet." Tayo frowned. "Why?" She hesitated, then sighed. "Because of what's inside." He blinked. "Inside?" "Yes. Please, just help me take it somewhere safe." He studied her face. "You're serious." "I'm begging you, Tayo." He nodded slowly. "Okay, follow me." She started the engine again. It rattled but obeyed. Together they drove through the sleeping city until they reached Tayo's small compound, a one-room apartment behind a grocery shop. He opened the gate and guided her in. "You can park here," he said, pointing beside the wall. She parked, turned off the engine, and exhaled deeply. For the first time that night, she felt safe. Tayo handed her a cup of water inside. "Now tell me what's going on." Natalia looked down at her hands, trembling. "Before my father died, he told me the car would change my life, that people wanted him dead because of it. I didn't believe him. But yesterday I opened the trunk." Tayo leaned forward. "And?" Her voice fell to a whisper. "Gold. Real gold." He blinked. "What?" "I don't know where he got it, but 2 men came last night. They wanted it." Tayo stared at her in disbelief. Then he stood and locked the door. "You're saying your father left gold in that rusty car?" She nodded. He rubbed his head. "This is insane. But you're safe now. Tomorrow we'll go to the police or find someone who can value it properly." Natalia felt tears in her eyes. "Thank you, Tayo." He smiled faintly. "You've always been the stubborn one. I knew you'd survive anything." She smiled weakly back. But as she lay on his small couch that night, sleep refused to come. Her father's words kept replaying. "Don't trust anyone." She wanted to trust Tayo. He was kind. He had helped her without question, but something small in her chest felt uneasy, a whisper she couldn't silence. And the next morning, when she stepped outside and saw the garage door open, her heart almost stopped. The old sedan was still there, but the trunk was wide open, and the gold was gone. Natalia froze at the doorway. The early morning sun was soft, but her eyes stung from what she saw. The car's trunk, wide open, the rice sack empty, the gold gone. Her heart began to race so fast she could barely breathe. She ran toward the car, shouting, "No, no, no, no." Her voice broke. She threw the sack aside and searched everywhere, under the seat, inside the glove box, even the floor carpet. Nothing. The treasure that was supposed to change her life had vanished. Her father's voice echoed in her head again, cruelly clear. "Don't trust anyone." Her hands were shaking as she turned back toward the room. Tayo was still inside, yawning and stretching, as if nothing had happened. She stormed in, tears and anger mixing in her voice. "Tayo, where's the gold?" He blinked. "What gold?" "Don't lie to me," she screamed. "You knew what was inside that car?" He stood up slowly, raising his hands. "Calm down, Natalia. I don't know what you're talking about." She looked into his eyes. They weren't the same. The warmth she saw the night before was gone. Now there was something else. Distance, guilt, calculation. "Tayo," she said quietly, her voice trembling. "Please tell me you didn't touch it." He looked away, rubbing his chin. "Natalia, listen. It's not what you think." Tears spilled down her cheeks. "Then what is it?" He sighed. "You don't understand how dangerous this is. I didn't take it for myself. I hid it." She gasped. "You what?" "I hid it somewhere safe," he said quickly. "People are watching you, Natalia. If they knew that gold was here, they'd kill us both." Her mouth fell open. "You had no right. That's my father's." He grabbed her wrist suddenly, his eyes sharp. "Lower your voice." She pulled back, scared. This was not the Tayo she knew. His face was serious, even cold. "Listen to me," he said. "Your father was involved in something big. Smuggling or black market trade. I don't know. But that gold isn't clean. Someone is already looking for it." Natalia shook her head. "No, my father was a good man. He never stole." He looked at her sadly. "Then why would he hide it?" Her chest tightened. She didn't have an answer. He continued, "I didn't want you to get hurt. That's why I called someone who can help us turn it in safely." Natalia's stomach dropped. "You called someone?" Before she could ask who, the sound of a car engine came from outside. She rushed to the window and froze. A black SUV had just parked in front of the compound. Two men stepped out, the same shadows she'd seen in the village. Her blood ran cold. "Tayo," she whispered, "those are the men who tried to break into our compound." Tayo didn't reply. Her eyes widened. You told them where I was?" He sighed. "Natalia, please, I didn't mean to. I thought they were government agents. They said your father owed them something. They promised to handle it quietly." She stumbled back, her voice breaking. "You betrayed me." He stepped toward her. "Natalia, I was trying to protect you." "Protect me?" she shouted. "You led them straight here." A loud knock hit the door. "Open up," a deep voice barked. "Federal agents." Tayo froze. Natalia's body went cold. Every instinct screamed that these weren't agents. She could feel the danger in the air. She whispered, "They're not police." Another bang shook the door. "We said open." She looked at Tayo, tears in her eyes, then ran toward the back door. "Tayo, if you ever cared about me, don't stop me," she said. He hesitated, then nodded weakly. "Go." She ran. Outside, she jumped over the back fence, scraping her knee on the rough wall. Pain shot up her leg, but she didn't stop. Behind her, she heard the front door break open, men shouting, footsteps rushing inside. She ran barefoot through the narrow path behind the compound, past dirty gutters and wooden stalls. Her scarf fell off, but she didn't turn back. She ran until her lungs burned. Finally, she ducked into a small alley between two houses, breathing hard. From where she crouched, she could hear the SUV's engine again, moving slowly, searching. She bit her lip, shaking. She had nothing now, no gold, no money, no phone. She dropped it when she jumped, and no one to trust. Her father's treasure was gone. The only person she trusted had betrayed her. Tears ran down her cheeks. "Papa," she whispered, "what did you get me into?" Then, as if in answer, a voice came from behind her, calm, familiar, unexpected. "Natalia?" She turned sharply. It was Mama Aoife. Her wrapper was dusty, and she held a small polythene bag. "Child, what are you doing here?" Natalia almost collapsed in relief. "Mama Aoife, they took it. The gold. They're after me." The old woman frowned. "Gold? You mean, what was inside that old car?" Natalia nodded, trembling. Mama Aoife's eyes softened. "I warned your father about those men. He didn't listen." Natalia froze. "You knew?" Mama Aoife looked away. "Your father wasn't just a driver, my dear. Years ago, he worked for a foreign mining company in Kano. They smuggled gold out of Nigeria. When the company collapsed, he ran with some of the bars, not for greed, but because they cheated him. He was supposed to be paid in shares, but they abandoned him. He took his due and hid it." Natalia's mouth opened slowly. "So that's why people wanted him dead?" The woman nodded sadly. "Yes, those men you saw, they're not police. They were part of that group." Natalia swallowed hard. "And now they think I know where it is." Mama Aoife placed a gentle hand on her shoulder. "Come with me. I know somewhere safe. Your father told me, in case something happened." Natalia's mind was spinning. She wanted to believe her, but her father's voice still echoed, "Don't trust anyone." But right now, she had no choice. She nodded weakly. "Okay." They moved quickly through the back alleys, avoiding the main road. The sun was higher now, people starting their morning routines, buying bread, shouting, laughing. To everyone else, it was an ordinary day. But to Natalia, every face looked suspicious. They finally reached an old church building on the edge of town. The paint was faded, the signboard half broken. Mama Aoife pushed open a side door. Inside was dark but cool. Dust floated in the sunlight that fell through the cracked roof. "This is the old mission house," Mama Aoife whispered. "Nobody comes here anymore." Natalia sat on one of the benches, trying to calm her breath. "Mama, what do I do now?" The old woman looked at her for a long time, her eyes calm but unreadable. Then she said softly, "There's something you need to know, my child. Your father didn't hide all the gold in that car." Natalia's head snapped up. "What?" she whispered. Mama Aoife leaned closer. "There's another place," she said, "and your father left a message only you can find." Natalia's heart began to race again. "Where?" she asked, barely breathing. But before Mama Aoife could answer, the sound of car tires screeched outside the church gate. A black SUV had stopped, and men were stepping out. The rumble of the SUV outside the church gate felt like thunder rolling into her chest. Natalia's breath caught. Her fingers clutched the edge of the pew, trembling. "Mama, they found us," she whispered. Mama Aoife's wrinkled face tightened. She peeked through the cracked window. Two men in black stepped out. The same faces, the same hard eyes. "They won't stop," the old woman muttered. "They want the rest." Natalia's mind was spinning. The rest? What did Mama mean by that? But there was no time. "We have to move," Mama said. "Now." They rushed toward the back of the church. The floor creaked beneath their feet. Natalia's heart was pounding so fast it hurt. Outside, the church gate groaned open. Heavy boots stepped inside. "Search everywhere," one of the men barked. Natalia and Mama slipped through the back door into the narrow corridor behind the altar. There was an old wooden ladder that led up to the ceiling. "Climb," Mama whispered. "Hurry." Natalia hesitated. "What about you?" "I'll be right behind you," she said. Natalia climbed, her hands slippery with sweat. The air up there was thick with dust and cobwebs. She reached the ceiling hatch just as the front door burst open below. Voices echoed through the old church. "Spread out, check the rooms." The ladder shook as Mama Aoife began climbing behind her. Natalia reached down to help, but the old woman's hand slipped on the rung. "Mama!" "I'm fine," she whispered. "Go." Natalia pushed open the hatch and crawled into the dusty attic. It was dark except for a thin beam of light cutting through the roof crack. She waited until Mama Aoife joined her, panting. The men's footsteps were getting closer. "What do we do now?" Natalia asked, whispering through tears. Mama Aoife reached into her wrapper pocket and pulled out a small envelope. It was yellow, worn with age, and sealed with red wax. "Your father gave this to me years ago," she said softly. "He said I should only give it to you if you were ever in danger. The kind of danger that started with that car." Natalia's eyes widened. "What's inside?" "I don't know," Mama said. "He told me never to open it." Natalia took it with shaking hands. Her father's handwriting was scrawled across the front. "For my daughter, when truth becomes heavier than gold." Her heart almost stopped. She broke the seal and unfolded the small piece of paper inside. It had a hand-drawn map, simple but clear. A winding line marked with a red X, and 3 words, "Garage beneath church." Natalia looked up sharply. "Mama, this church—" "Yes," Mama said quickly. "It used to have a basement garage. The missionaries built it during the war." The sound of footsteps was getting louder below. The men were searching the back rooms now. Natalia's pulse raced. "We have to find that basement." Mama nodded. "There's a trap door behind the altar." They climbed down quietly, praying the men were still on the other side of the building. Dust swirled around their feet as they tiptoed through the back corridor. Natalia's heart thudded in her ears. Her father's message. The map. The car. It was all leading to this place. At the altar, they found it, a square section of the floor with iron hinges half buried under old rugs. Mama Aoife knelt, using her old strength to pull it open. The smell of earth and rust rose up. "Go," she whispered. Natalia climbed down first, her hand brushing against cool stone walls. She landed in the dark space beneath, a small underground room filled with boxes and tools from years past. Mama Aoife followed, closing the trapdoor quietly behind them. Natalia turned on the small torchlight she still carried from before. The beam swept across the room, revealing shelves, barrels, and a single locked chest in the corner. Her hands shook as she walked toward it. The lock was old but still strong. "Mama, this must be it." Mama Aoife nodded slowly. "Your father said you would find what truly belongs to you." Natalia looked around for something to break the lock. She found an old hammer and struck it hard. Once, twice. The third hit snapped it open. She lifted the lid. Inside, neatly packed, were documents, not gold. Bundles of old papers wrapped in nylon, certificates, receipts, and on top of them, a black ledger book. "What is this?" she whispered. Mama Aoife took one look and gasped. "Oh my God." Natalia opened the book. Inside were columns of names, figures, and company seals. She turned the first page. Her father's signature stared back at her. Her eyes widened. "This is a record of the gold exports." Mama nodded. "Your father kept evidence, proof of the illegal trade, the smuggling, the bribery, the hidden accounts. He wanted you to have this, not the gold. This is what could destroy the people who killed him." Natalia's chest tightened. "He wasn't trying to make me rich. He was trying to make me safe." Mama smiled faintly through her tears. "And to clear his name." But their relief lasted only seconds, because the sound of footsteps echoed above. The men had found the altar. One shouted, "There's a hatch here." Natalia's torchlight trembled. "They're coming." Mama grabbed her hand. "The back tunnel. Your father told me. It leads outside, toward the river." They ran toward the narrow stone passage. It was barely big enough to crawl through. Natalia held the ledger tightly against her chest as they moved through the dark tunnel. Behind them, the trapdoor burst open. The men's voices filled the space. "They're down there." Natalia crawled faster, her knees scraping the ground. The tunnel grew tighter, darker, hotter. She could hear their footsteps echoing behind, closer, louder. Then ahead, a faint circle of light appeared. The exit. She pushed through, gasping, and stumbled out into the open air behind the church, right beside the riverbank. Mama Aoife crawled out after her, wheezing but smiling. They could hear shouts echoing behind them. The men were still coming. "Run, Natalia," Mama said, pushing her forward. "Run with the truth." Natalia hesitated. "Mama, I can't leave you." "Go," the old woman shouted. "Don't let them take what your father died for." Tears blurred her eyes. She turned and ran, down the muddy path, across the shallow bridge, clutching the ledger to her chest. Behind her she heard another shout, and then a gunshot. The sound tore through the air like a scream. She stopped for a moment, shaking. But she couldn't turn back. She kept running, sobbing, until she reached the main road. A passing truck slowed down. The driver, a middle-aged man, stared at her dusty face and trembling hands. "Madam, are you okay?" he asked. "Please," she gasped, "take me to the city." He nodded and helped her in. The truck drove off into the dawn. Natalia looked out through the window, tears streaming down her face. The ledger sat on her lap, her father's handwriting glowing faintly in the sunrise. She whispered, "Papa, I'll finish what you started." 3 years later, Lagos Business Daily front-page headline, "Young entrepreneur exposes gold smuggling ring, becomes Nigeria's largest sesame exporter." Below the headline was a smiling photo of Natalia Benjamin standing beside a cargo container stamped NB Exports Limited. Her company had grown fast, clean trade, honest routes, built from the funds recovered when the government seized the smuggling accounts her father had exposed. At the ceremony, journalists asked her, "What inspired your success?" She smiled faintly. "My father's car. Everyone mocked me for inheriting it. But it carried the truth that changed everything." She walked away as cameras flashed, proud, free, her father's bracelet on her wrist. And in her new mansion garage sat the same old rusty sedan, carefully restored, not for wealth, but for memory. Because what she found inside that car didn't just make her rich, it made her whole. If you like this story, comment, share, and subscribe to our channel for more interesting stories.